What is up, guys? Delboy here. So the bout between Anthony Joshua and Jarrell Miller is at serious risk due to Jarrell Miller testing positive for a banned substance. He tested positive for a substance called GW1516, also known as Endurobol, and apparently that drug is a fat burner, and also the drug helps with endurance. And that kind of makes sense for a fighter like Jarrell Miller. As we know, he's a very big guy. He's weighed in at over 300 pounds on numerous occasions, but still he retains a really good punch output. You know, from an outsider looking in, it looks like an obvious case of doping, but we will see as more information comes to us. But as I mentioned, the fight is looking very doubtful, and I'm disappointed about that. To be quite honest, I felt this was the best fight out of all of the heavyweight fights that are being contested by the big three. You know, Fury's fighting Tom Schwarz and Deontay Wilder's fighting Dominic Breazeale. And I felt Joshua versus Miller had more intrigue than both of those fights. Wasn't the best fight, but I was okay with it. But yeah, looking likely that this fight is not going to go ahead anymore. And obviously that means they need a replacement. Eddie Hearn has confirmed that regardless, Joshua is still fighting on June 1st. Let's talk about replacements. A few names have been mentioned, and a few names are being considered. Some of the names are as followed: Luis Ortiz, Kubrat Pulev, Adam Kalnatsky, Michael Hunter, and Manuel Charr. I will start by saying I really don't want it to be Manuel Charr. You know, there's more than 6 weeks notice. They can do better than Manuel Charr. As for Michael Hunter, I actually rate Michael Hunter. I think he's an interesting prospect at heavyweight, but I would like to see him take a couple of more higher profile fights at heavyweight before he jumps in there with somebody like Anthony Joshua. So I really don't want to see a Manuel Charr fight. And as for Michael Hunter, I wouldn't be mad, but I don't think it's ideal. As for the other names I mentioned, I've got no problem with any of those fights. So Kubrat Pulev. Pulev has been a top 10 contender for years now. He's the IBF mandatory, so it would get rid of that problem in the future. Pulev's a good fighter in his own right, good jab, good solid technical skills. Pulev wouldn't be the worst opponent in the world, and again, if you compare it to the other heavyweight fights, Pulev is levels above Breazeale and Tom Schwarz. So no problem with Pulev, no problem with Adam Kalnatsky. Kalnatsky is coming off a few good wins over the likes of Arthur Spielka, Gerald Washington and Charles Martin. You know, Kalnatsky is coming off some good momentum. He's aggressive, he can punch, good hand speed, good combination puncher. Not the worst title challenger in the world. He's certainly better than Tom Schwarz, and you know, he's at least on a par with Dominic Breazeale, if not better. So Adam Kalnatsky, no problem with that whatsoever. And as for Luis Ortiz, this would be the ideal fight in my opinion. Luis Ortiz, obviously Cuban southpaw, good punching power. He's got a good reputation among hardcore boxing fans, and he's a genuine top 6, top 7 heavyweight. So Ortiz is another good option, and in my opinion, maybe the best option. Certainly in terms of fanfare and getting people excited, I think Luis Ortiz would go down the best, but I've not got a problem with Adam Kalnatsky, and I've not got a problem with Kubrat Pulev, if I'm being honest. Another name just to chuck out there is Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has said he would take that fight, and Eddie Hearn has kind of reacted to that in a lukewarm manner, I guess. You know, he said he would discuss it with Dillian Whyte, but I cannot see it happening. I cannot see Eddie Hearn putting a fight between two British guys in America. Makes no sense. And it would really annoy fans in the UK. A lot of people were annoyed at the time that we didn't get Joshua Whyte 2. So if that fight happens in America, people are going to get pissed off. So I cannot see Dillian Whyte stepping in for Jarrell Miller, if I'm being honest. But yeah, they are my thoughts on the potential opponents. For me, I've not got a problem, like I said, with Pulev, Ortiz or Kalnatsky. Any one of those guys is fine with me. And just a quick mention on Jarrell Miller. I mean, it's very disappointing, you know. The guy talked the talk, he said what he said, and here we are a few weeks later, we see him failing drug tests. But we shouldn't really be surprised. I'm sure some of you will know this is actually the second time Jarrell Miller has tested positive for a banned substance. You know, he also tested positive when he was a kickboxer way back in the day. So Jarrell Miller has previous for this type of thing. So yeah, maybe we shouldn't really be too surprised. But yeah, it's a shame. I was coming round to the fight. It wasn't ideal, but I felt it was better than the rest. But yeah, as of right now, it's looking like this fight is highly unlikely. We obviously need to wait for the B sample to come through, but I'm not confident. Share your thoughts below. Peace.